So I'm very pleased to be here this morning to address your Irish Green Building Council conference this morning here in Woodkey. I want to thank Devin Alton-Sire and everyone at the Irish Green Building Council for organising this event and for all your invitation for me to come here. But apart from that, from your work in this area in general, because it's a very important sector and it's very important that we get the plans right for the future as well as the present, and I think that you have a major role in that, and I want to thank you for all your work in that as well. The aspirational theme of your conference, Better Than Best Practice, is an important message. It's one that we have to get out there and get into everyone's head, that we have to aim high and try and go beyond best practice. If we are to compete and to indeed excel on a global stage, both economically, socially and culturally, we cannot stay still, and we have to innovate and we have to move forward. And part of my job as Minister of Education and Enterprise is the whole innovation sector, and to try and push the boundaries a bit further, to change our processes, to change what we do, the way we do it, to change our products, our services and what we have to offer. And if we do that in all our sectors, including construction, we will be in a much better place as a country to build on the recovery and to continue that going as well. So what you're doing here today is part of that as well, and it's a key part of it. That as we kind of go back into construction in a big way, which we're going to have to over the next couple of years, we have to get it right, and we have to make sure that the greening end of it is done properly as well. So I think it's an important area we're working in, and I want to thank you for having me here. I want to pay tribute to all in the consortium as well for your support in this important initiative that gives focus to the upskilling and the training in the sustainable energy, a necessary component in many of the trades in the construction sector as well. And it's by having these conferences that we will change people's minds as well and bring more people with us. I had probably, before I built my own house, I would have attended a conference similar to this, mainly around the whole passive, building a passive house, not too far from here, actually in the sustainable energy building a couple of years back. And that had a major influence on what I built when I built my house. And what I'd done it, and we changed the whole. It wasn't quite passive because it was still like a fireplace, but it was. Apart from that, we probably nearly had everything else. But we went for the CIF, the kind of the insulation, concrete insulation form, which is the insulation on both sides and then concrete in the middle. So we moved away from a block build. But we also had the rainwater and all the different facilities around that as well. And you know, it just changed our mind. And then to try to compensate for all the concrete we would have had to use, we literally planted 1,000 trees around the house. And not 1,000 trees are big money, €1 each. And they're all now a lot taller than I am. I'm only small, but they're all taller than most of us here, probably about 7 foot tall. But it shows what you can do, you know, at low cost if you actually plan it ahead and get good advice, but get a bit of encouragement. And that's why I think events like today are part of that as well, in different ways. As Minister for Skills and Research and Innovation, I probably set out a number of initiatives that the government are already trying to take in this sector, and to make sure that we're developing the right courses at the right time and the right place to deliver those skills. And the big fear we would have in government is that we could end up here in a year's time or 2 years' time with a lot of jobs that we actually can't fill. And that we should have been able to fill, that we planned it ahead right and developed the right courses again, tailoring them here and there, tweaking them. We'll have people that will have the right skills to fill the jobs. And so that's part of my main job, is to actually match up the skills demand and to make sure throughout the education sector we're able to deliver on that. And I have to say I've seen great improvement over the last number of years in all the education institutions to make sure to reflect those needs. It mightn't have been there 10 years ago, that involvement, but it certainly is there now in my view in the last couple of years. And I've seen courses that have been turned around in a month or two to reflect the local needs of a certain business sector or whatever. So we need to respond that way as well as best we can. As you may be aware, the further education and training sector, which is mainly part of my area, has undergone major structural and policy change over the last number of years. Probably a lot of that reform took a little bit longer than we thought. We have FÁS has now changed completely, and we have SOLAS has replaced that. A lot of the staff in FÁS are now working in the education and training boards, and they're also in the social protection sector as well. So FÁS, as we all knew it, is completely changed, and SOLAS has replaced it. We now have all the VECs have been replaced by 33, by 16 education and training boards. And those reforms took longer than we thought, but they're there now. And in my view is we have to use those new structures now to try to adapt and to change and to deliver the courses you need and the adult education you need at a quicker pace as well. So it's time to kind of push out now and use those reforms to deliver what's needed in the sector as well. SOLAS was established in October 2013, and it's developed its 5-year plan, which was published in May, which sets out a lot of the initiatives and plans it hopes to have as well. And it will direct the policy of training and education through the education and training boards as well. as I say, the legislation dictated the 5-year strategy. That's there now, and I hope that people will have a chance to have a look at that as well. The strategy gives a roadmap for the ongoing development of the forward education and training sector over the next couple of years, and there will be service level agreements between SOLAS now and the education and training boards, and that will give us a chance to reflect the needs on a yearly basis and to change courses when we have to, because we all give examples of the same course that was done 30 years ago still being done in some cases. We need to move that, adapt that, and make sure it reflects the needs to deliver the skills. Ireland is committed through its national policy delivering a sustainable energy future to reducing its energy usage by 20% and to providing 16% of primary energy through renewable sources. In this regard, SOLAS has been asked by my department to prepare a paper on education for sustainable development in the further education and training sector. Work on this paper has begun, and we're expected to have a report on it in early 2015. This will operate alongside with the actions set out in the Build Up the Skills Ireland roadmap. We're trying to align all the various players in this area to make sure that the right actions are carried out to be able to achieve what we're trying to achieve here. The education training boards already provide a number of sustainable energy courses. I think there's over 15 different types of courses now. Air tightness and sustainable construction and domestic thermal insulation are a couple of examples. Training in this area for participants who are in most cases unemployed craft and trade workers, and trying to reskill people and upskill people who already have worked in the sector in the past as well. SkillNets, which is an employer-led body, also funds and facilitates training for up to 8,000 unemployed people each year. SkillNets has links to sustainable energy training through the Construction IT Alliance SkillNet, which is made up of 100 companies from the construction industry. This particular network ensures that industry takes full advantage of advances in information and communication technology as well. In relation to wind farm design and construction, we also have another network for SkillNets, the Wind SkillNet, which also delivers programmes in this area. SkillNets, I think, are doing a lot of good work for us here, and we partner with them, the Department of Education, to try to, to in a particular sector of industry, to work with them to design the course you need, generally in-house and in-house training as well, to upskill existing employers, but also to work with various education training boards to develop the new courses as well. We also have the Springboard programme, which assists unemployed and previously self-employed people to remain as close as possible to the labour market. And this was introduced as part of the government's jobs initiative back in May 2011. This programme achieves this by enabling people to access part-time higher education and training opportunities to upskill or to reskill, where there are identified labour targets or labour shortages that we have to try to fill. And I think the Springboard is probably our quickest way of converting people over to a new skill or to upskilling in a certain area. And I think that's key, and some of you are probably involved in that as well, and I do hope we'll see more initiatives there with that as well. And also a great opportunity to address the IT shortages as well, because IT and technology is a major influence now in all the various industries and all the various changes that are happening as well. Since 2011, Springboard has supported more than 15,000 unemployed people and job seekers to undertake higher education programmes in areas of identified skills needs. Those involved in construction need to be equipped with sustainable new skills and the knowledge to work in the industry. There is a need for a range of graduates from new and emerging technologies in areas such as building information modelling, systems and the greening of construction. And I think that the focus of today is the greening of construction as well. I understand that to date almost 3,000 people have participated on the Springboard Construction, the Green Technology courses, and that under Springboard 2014, a further 200 places will be delivered in higher education institutes across the country. So I think that in the Action Plan for Jobs, we set out an initiative as well in the last 2 years in both Action Plan for Jobs to take a review of the Irish apprenticeship system and to determine the new model that would best reflect what we're trying to achieve in Ireland over a couple of years ahead. So there's going to be a lot of changes in the apprenticeship section. And the review group came back with a number of recommendations. Because and some of them are to look at the existing apprenticeships. There's about 25, 26 of them. How we can rearrange some of them. Some of them are too long of an apprenticeship model. 4 years is regarded as far too long now if you're in the plastering sector. There are a lot of changes. But in some other higher skills, you still need maybe 3 or 4 years. But we're going to try and adapt the existing apprenticeships. But we also want to roll out a lot more new apprenticeship models that will reflect the skills that are needed today and that are going to be needed in the years ahead. And if you compare ourselves to maybe Germany or Austria, they'd have about 300 or 400 types of apprenticeship. And we're never going to get to that level because there's a long history of that. But we certainly need a lot more than 30 or 40. And we want to develop now, with all the various players and sectors, to develop new apprenticeship models which will reflect what we're trying to achieve here. How that will happen is the Apprenticeship Council, which has been more or less formed, will be announced in the next couple of weeks. And that will reflect most of the players and stakeholders in this area. And then the Apprenticeship Council, when it's formed, will make a call out to industry and to all the sectors for initiatives and for ideas of new models of apprenticeship that need to be done and new courses. And out of that, then we will develop all the various changes that are needed. And in some cases, it might be, a suggestion might come in from a particular sector, and we're working with all sectors at the moment to encourage this. That might end up not being an apprenticeship model, but it might suit better to a traineeship or to more job placement or to a skill nets. But as proposals come in, we'll work with them to rearrange. But that's part of my job to work on that and to work with the Apprenticeship Council now to drive that change and reform and to make sure we move with the times and that we're not sitting here in 3 years' time with no progress. So I think that will be the best opportunity to address a lot of the skills gaps that you guys are identifying and need filled as well. Finally, once again, I want to thank you for inviting me here today. I do think this is a very important sector. I'm sorry that I can't stay for the whole morning. It's just one of those days with budget, with briefings and budget discussions after it as well. But I do think, yes, this budget will, it does set out the construction sector as well as an area we want to try to develop this. And for the last couple of years, people were nearly afraid to talk about construction, but that's wrong. We need a proper functioning construction sector that contributes about 10 or 11% of our GDP every year. We might have went too high there for a number of years and we thought we'd get rich as a country selling houses to each other. It doesn't work that way. But we do need a construction sector, but we need it in a proper, sustainable way, when we certainly need a greener construction sector. So there's a major role for everyone to play here, and you're leading the charge in this, and today's conference is part of that. But it's something that we have reflected in yesterday's budget. We do need to increase the output here rapidly in construction because, there's a serious shortage now. We all know that, and most certainly in the city, but as you push out to the Greater Dublin region as well, there's a major shortage. And again, that goes back to planning ahead as well and thinking ahead. We now need to do it right and do it in an affordable way as well, which means building houses that are affordable to run, which is where you guys come in as well. So, again, thanks for today. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to working with you as we try to develop this skills base and to close these gaps in the years ahead as well. So, thank you very much.